What we are looking at is the Niagara Escarpment running through the town of Grimsby, Ontario. Trying to get to the start of this odd-looking cliff face brings us right back home to High Falls in Rochester, New York. These falls are the beginning of a 1,000-kilometer-long cliff face that starts here in Rochester and extends into Ontario, Canada, goes into the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and continues into Wisconsin. As you could probably tell, this is no normal rock formation. The rock layer at the top of High Falls also forms the top of Niagara Falls and caps the rest of the escarpment. Rochester's two main waterfalls and Niagara Falls both drop just over 165 feet as water from rivers falls over the cliff face. In southern Ontario, the ridge runs through cities like Grimsby and Hamilton, where it's especially obvious, like we saw before. But why does it form in such a strange way?
Your first guess might be that the formation is the result of plate tectonics or a fault line, but the answer is actually more interesting. The simplest answer is differential erosion, or in other words, different rocks erode at different rates. So if you have layers of hard rock stacked upon layers of soft rock exposed to wind and water at the same time, the softer rock will erode faster. At some points, the erosion of the bottom layers can undercut the top layers and cause it to collapse due to a lack of support, forming cliffs. However, this reasoning fails to explain why we have all these distinct rock layers and why they are spread across such a wide region. The story that answers these questions brings us back over 450 million years ago, when the Earth was a much different place than it is today. To put that into perspective, Pangaea formed only 250 million years ago, and 400 million years ago, insects and fish were only first just emerging.
During this time, the North American plate crashed into an arc of islands on the east coast, forming the Green Mountains in Vermont and the Taconic Mountains in New York. Rivers flowed off these mountains and into a sea that covered the rest of present-day New York. Over time, sediment built up in this sea and transformed it into a large delta that extended all the way to present-day Lake Huron. This formed a tough layer of rock known as Queenston Shale. The mechanism that forms the rest of the rock layers is a bit different from the Queenston layer, which we can get into now. The two large basins are responsible for the general shape of the escarpment, the Michigan Basin and the Appalachian Basin. The Michigan Basin forms an arc that extends through Canada and Wisconsin, while the portion in New York was formed by the Appalachian Basin. These two depressions allowed a large body of water to form and recede in cycles for over 20 million years. At times, the sea was almost non-existent, creating a large swampy section of land, while at other times the water level rose rapidly, forming a deep sea capable of hosting many different types of life. As one source from the University of Michigan states, these cycles deposited sediment in all varieties of shaly limey sandstones, sandy shaly limestones, and sand shales. The point is, after both basins had been filled in by sediment over many millions of years, the sea receded for a final time, forming Lockport Dolostone, another hard layer of rock that caps the entire escarpment.
Using what we know now, we can revisit the falls in Rochester and look for the layers that we learned about. We can see that the older layers of rocks are found at the bottom of the lower falls and appear as a gray color that we can also see here in person. Kodak sandstone is present here in Rochester, but not in Niagara, so as a result, we have two medium-sized waterfalls instead of one combined one. As we move up the gorge and through the dam to High Falls, we can see many distinct layers formed by the ancient changing sea levels. Then, as we reach High Falls, the walls become a single layer of shale formed by a coral reef, meaning that this rock is rich with fossils. Finally, the Lockport group forms at the top of the escarpment and High Falls alike.
Even though the escarpment is covered in ice today, if you live nearby, we still hope you take the drive and check it out. Or there may even be a closer escarpment to you, like the Onondaga escarpment, located in the southern part of New York. The exposed rock layers show so much history about the land we live on, and the scenic views it provides you can't find anywhere else. If you like this video, check out this one where we talk about the orbit of the Earth around the Sun, or this one that YouTube has picked out just for you.